Hey, welcome everyone to another episode of the Jonathan Project Podcast, where iron is sharpening iron. We take the example of David and Jonathan, their friendship and their loyalty as the inspiration for this podcast. This episode and every episode comes out every Tuesday morning. You can find that at your favorite podcast platforms at Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, you can find it. If you want me and Jason to come out and have an engagement with you, speak at a men's event, you have something going on with your business, please reach out to us at thejonathanprojectpodcast at gmail.com. Again, thejonathanprojectpodcast at gmail.com. Another great thing that we offer here is free resources. That's right, free, something that you never hear very often, but we do offer a devotional for all you men out there looking to improve on some of the best titles that you carry, being a husband, a father, or just strengthening yourself in your walk with God. It's 28 days, about 2 minutes every day, and you can find that. It'll be in the episode summaries. A link to that, again, it's free. Jason, welcome to yet another episode, and how are you doing?
Hey, brother. I am doing well on this beautiful day as we are both recovering. You from your, Tim the Toolman Taylor episode yesterday at the house. And
Man.
yeah, me from the craziness of the rodeo as well as Technical Animal Planet that occurred here.
Oh
Yeah.
man, people have no idea. Yesterday, a time was had. A time was had for everybody. We had a good time all the way around, like from sprinkler, irrigation, water hoses busting, breaking because some random tree decides to grow, and you at a rodeo that can only be described as a rodeo. So,
Yeah. Yes. As the chicken roundup occurred, as they chased 3 chickens, only about 150 kids went at them in this small arena. And then it turned into kids fighting like the third monkey getting onto the Noah's Ark. Like they were giving it all they had. Yes. So
oh man,
they had shoes still strode out. Kids were like, oh, I'm missing shoes. It was pretty comical.
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, let me tee up this wonderful segment that we're going to talk about because you were in a crowd. So, have you ever, Jason, felt alone in a crowd, like no one really gets you, like your worth is tied to something, like looking for somebody to applaud you? Sometimes it's called what, loneliness. I think we're going
Yeah,
to talk
yeah.
about that
We're
today.
gonna talk about loneliness. Last night, there was no loneliness to be had in that period. But, Colby, I was reading, and so the Mr. Zuckerberg, I'm sure I'll mess up his name because I'm not a Facebook kind of human, but he put out an article that, AI could help with with this epidemic of loneliness.
Yeah,
And so, and it's based on you feeding your algorithms, and this thing kind of helps you combat your loneliness. And I'm like, I don't really think that's how it works. Just my humble opinion as a psychologist, I don't think that's how it works. But
yeah,
I think it's like a temporary thing. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's think you'll find it like drinking magnesium citrate when you're thirsty, and then which is the yeah, I see that look on your face. That's amazing laxative. I'll just put it like that. Like you think
Oh
it's
no,
and all of a sudden you're like, I got a bigger problem.
yeah,
So I'm sure somebody will write in and go, what? But
yeah,
it is. And so loneliness, it actually has become this public health crisis, right? And you hit the nail on the head. It's a sense of belonging. When people don't have it, it's the difference between a person's actual desire and their connection. So we measure that called loneliness. This is I want to be connected to people, and I'm not. As a matter of fact, the U.S. Surgeon General Murthy, he said it's an epidemic in the spring of 2023 is when he put it. He said it's far more than just a bad feeling these days. It's becoming a major public health risk, and he talks a lot about people feeling isolated, invisible, and insignificant. You hit that right. It hits all ages and all socioeconomic backgrounds from every corner of the country. And I thought a lot about that, how that we are made for being with other people. We're made for that connection. But that connection is that loneliness that we all feel from our lack of connection with Jesus Christ.
I like it. I like it. And I just want to be honest from the jump, with my little research that I stumbled upon at the 11th hour as you told me what we were doing this week. And, loneliness isn't weakness, it's just a signal. It is an innate thing for human beings. We're not weak because we feel lonely. We're human, right? We're made for connection. There is an eternal size, God size hole in our spirit beings. If we could see it, like we all walk around with these holes until we meet that maker, until we meet that place and that person that can feel that, which is Jesus, right? It's Genesis 2:18. Whole reason Eve comes on the scene is also based off of this verse, and it says it's not good for man to be alone, right? We are meant for community. We are meant to iron sharpen iron as guys, and guys are some of the worst. So when you look at these epidemics, kind of stats on loneliness, we have a hard time connecting with other men in particular, and that's not a good thing, right? You can't do this alone. We've said this many times. Life is a team sport.
You said, and I love that aspect in Genesis, that's the very first time it's ever mentioned, not good. And it centers on loneliness. Did you know that you have a 50%, it increases the risk of developing dementia by
Oh, I
50%
believe it.
in older adults. And it says if you're older than 12 years old, loneliness decreases your cognitive ability by like 20%, right? When they do the studies of the blue zone, where people live the longest, and what they find is it's community, it's connectivity, it's that lack of loneliness. And just like you alluded to, or like we talked about, it's that connectivity with Jesus Christ. And we'll, as we kind of talk later throughout this series, excuse me, we will talk about, so we'll kind of bring up some of the people who aren't affected by loneliness or who have less reported things of it, right?
Yeah.
But your point, 52% of Americans feel lonely, and 47 report that their relationships aren't meaningful, which goes back to what they said about the quotes where I have to shoulder all of life's burdens by myself. People feel like if I disappear tomorrow, no one will notice. That's a horrible feeling. And I
Yeah.
know very clearly that Jesus Christ absolutely misses you. He does know who you are. As a matter of fact, it says his eyes are on the sparrow. The last time I checked out back, there's a ton of those things. He
Yeah.
knows when every single one of those falls. And he says, and Jesus says plainly, you're more valuable than them. So as people do here, as people listen to us, you need to know, they need to know that they are valuable.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
and I think, as we were talking about one of the social media legends there, Mr. Zuckerberg, early on, and really when you look at that and you go back and you look at his little movie of how Facebook got started, he was trying to build a community that not have that loneliness, right? But what has turned into it's a trap. It's the trap of validation, right? Are you chasing likes? Are you chasing lasting love? Like there's nothing wrong with wanting to be accepted.
yeah,
But in today's world, the natural desire is being twisted into performance. I
yeah,
mean, you got people doing all kinds of stunts
yeah,
for external validation to feel like they're not alone, that they belong to a community, right?
mhm,
We're hardwired people, right? Folks, we're hardwired to be liked, respected, and affirmed, right?
yeah,
But that chase can break us. And if you're not seeking to build a sense of yourself and how you view the world and how you build others around you, aka a community, from God's perspective on that, then that constant pursuit of what's the newest thing, like, oh, it's licking Tide Pods or it's jumping off the roof or it's
yeah.
whatever it is going to end up mentally and possibly physically breaking.
You know what the three top loneliest cities in America are?
Probably New York, Los Angeles, and what's the other big city in the country? I don't
Pretty
know.
close. Pretty close. Uh, one is Las Vegas.
Yeah,
Talk
well,
about
there you
being
go.
alone in a crowd.
Yeah.
I had to go out that way one time for work, and you need
Hmm.
to avoid, you need to avoid that area because it's super hard to navigate. Right, there's so many people.
Yeah.
Uh, but it is Las Vegas, Washington D.C., and Denver are the loneliest cities.
Really?
And yeah, statistics show them 3 times higher than the national average.
All right.
You think about that. People are all together. Las Vegas, they're chasing, whatever it is they're chasing out there.
All that chasing.
Uh, yeah, yeah. It's like a friend of mine told me one time, he says, if anybody heads out there, you need to leave a note. I don't think the good Lord's going to stop by there. On the and, which he will. He will. But think about it. 57% of Americans eat dinner alone, eat meals alone. And it's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's funny. Jesus used meals to connect with people. So as Christians, as we look and listen, you see somebody eating alone, is it going to hurt to eat with them? Jesus ate with everybody.
Yeah.
Uh, so I mean, that's an immediate action, or making sure that your loved ones are there, that you do get to spend time with them, right? I like that. So you talk about feeling alone. Elijah, Elijah, he felt alone, and he's one of the greatest prophets that ever was. He felt alone, which blows my mind, after the scenario with Baal, right? Remember that? I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
the story. He's got all his 400 prophets, and it hadn't rained, and he's like, you know what, guys? And they're like chanting and cutting themselves, doing all this other stuff. And he goes, hey, man, do it a little bit louder. That dude may be asleep. Like your God may be asleep.
Yeah.
And then they do it some more, and he goes, hey, he maybe just be going to the bathroom. And then, like, God shows up on the scene. And, of course, nothing ever happens on their altar. God shows up on the scene, and it says he destroyed everything, the water, the rocks, all that stuff. Gone. And then Elijah goes back to the cave, and he's like, man, that woman's after me. She's going to kill me. I'm out here by myself. And it hits us. So we're all
Yeah.
prone to it. So God
Yeah.
told us there's 400 other guys out there that hadn't bent the
Yeah.
knee yet.
Yeah. No, validation isn't bad. It's the source that matters, right? And, I think about Isaiah 43:4, you're precious and honored in my sight, and I love you. You have to know that your worth is not in your performance of the world, because that's always going to shift. In God's eyes, as you are, raw, as bad as you think you are, he already validates you and loves you so much so that he sent his son to die on the cross for you. He's already validated you. So let that one just kind of sink in and rest. You don't need to perform. You don't need to put on an act, right? You don't have to go cut yourself and chant all loud like the prophets of Baal,
Yeah.
right? God is already there, the creator of the universe, who, he's called you a son or a daughter. You're a joint heir with Christ, right?
Yeah.
Galatians 1:10, if I were still trying to please people, I wouldn't be a servant of Christ, right? And that right there kind of sums up the modern world. There's so many people that are looking for their sense of purpose in this world, their community, that they put on an act. And then millions upon millions of people follow them, believing that this is actually this person. And those are some of the most lonely and depressed people. When you look at studies, by and large, influencers are some of the people with the highest mental illnesses writ large, right? So you have to be careful of the source. Validation is a natural thing. We are created. Why? Because we are created to seek the praise and honor of God.
Yeah.
Satan has come in and twisted all that, where we kind of try to find and fill that void with something else. So it's a trap. Validation is a trap.
It's a huge trap. You said something just in, and that made me stop. Actually, I got to validation, right? When Satan tempts Eve, he goes, eat the fruit and be like God. I want you to be validated, right? We all seek that validation. Am I okay? Are you okay? This, that, and the other. But like you said, Jesus seeks you out as you are. We were just doing the Bible study. My wife and I were in John, and it's about the woman at the well. And it says, hey, he goes out there at the 6th hour. So for people that aren't tracking, she was in Samaria, and they hated them so bad they would cross over the river, the Jericho River, Jordan River. I can't remember what it was.
Probably Jordan.
They would cross it and literally go up the other side and then cross back over. They didn't want to walk through it, but Jesus goes straight through it. And he's out there at noon, the 6th hour, which is noon, or roughly about that time, right? To get some water, to see this woman. She's at the well at noon. She's at the well at noon because she can't go to get water with anybody the other way. She goes at the hottest point of the day. Kobe, you and I have been in the Middle East at noon.
Mm,
It's
mm.
miserable.
It's an emotional event.
It's an emotional event. I didn't know you could be that hot without just spontaneously combusting, and it's crazy. It's but there they are, and Jesus sought her out as she was. 5 previous husbands. Nobody in the town wanted anything to do with her. What do you think her self validation was? Not so
Mm,
good.
mm,
Yeah. And he tells her, he goes, "Hey, I didn't know this till today." He
mm,
tells her, he goes, she's like, "Ah, you guys, you Israelites believe you need to worship here. We worship here, yada, yada." And he goes, "Look, I've come here. Basically, you're going to worship in spirit and in truth." That's the first time I've seen that phrase mentioned. He tells it to her. And he basically tells her, says, "I am the Messiah. I'm the one that's going to give you the well or the water of life." And I think
mhm.
that's what so many kids don't get. Because you said, and it's funny that uh, the AI, they throw that out to be a cure for loneliness. Do you know, by demographics, 80% of young people under the age of 18 feel lonely, and they have the highest screen time. They have the highest and largest social media presence.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 43% of people ages 18 to 25 feel lonely, but 73% of millennials feel or say they are lonely. Only 22% of Gen X does, but I think we kind of grew up being lonely, so we like, yeah, it's kind of status quo.
Mm,
But but they do, So when you think that AI is going to be that solution, man, you're trying the same solution. You've been digging in that iPhone for years and your social media, and it doesn't help you. There's just one answer, right?
mm.
Uh, and
No, I mean, that's good, Jason, and I think for men in particular, I think we're already primed. The pump is primed for us to be lonely. I think women naturally are more innate to make about making communities,
yeah,
and men writ large are kind of even with the social media thing. You see a lot more women and these big communities and things. And I get it, there's a lot of guy influencers too, but we've been taught to compete and not connect, right? As guys, and that cultural kind of conditioning: don't show weakness, be strong, don't cry, show emotions, don't ask for help, is a trap. I call it's like the man box trap, right? Like, you are put into this box that Satan has put you into, right? And it kills this idea of unity, which is one of Satan's biggest things. He doesn't want you unified.
yeah,
He doesn't want you getting help. He doesn't want you getting with a brother that has walked ahead of you in the path that can help bring you along. He wants you in isolation. When I use the Discovery Channel example that Jason brought up before, and I think is very because it's clear to all of us. We watch the Discovery Channel. It's always that one stupid antelope that's like extra greedy or just I don't know whatever's going on that day. It wants more water than everybody else. Everybody else jumps and leaves, and this one always gets wrapped around the neck with a nice crocodile necklace, right? So we can't we can't be the antelope that's just out here isolated because you're going to get picked off. Not only you, but your family. And loneliness is an avenue to being isolated,
hmm
right? When you think that I'm all alone, woe is me, instead of seeking out and reaching out and asking for what you need, then boom, he's got you. Here's a 2017 Harvard study that says men without close connections were less happy and less healthy. You want to be healthy, you want to be around for your grandkids, or if you already got grandkids, your great grandkids, give yourself a shot. You need community.
hmm
Uh, Ecclesiastes 4, 9 through 10, two are better than one. If either of them falls, one can help the other, right? There's the reason why, and especially in the army, I'm sure other services have something equivalent. Maybe not, but at least the army, you have a battle buddy, right? And that constant thing where, hey, I have someone that's going through this with me, and we're gonna help each other. Same thing in life. You need a Jonathan, as we say on this show, right? You need a collection of men, older, younger, whoever you're pouring into, you pour into someone else that can help. You can bring them along, and someone else can bring you along.
yeah.
That is what being a man is. It's not being isolated and getting a crocodile wrapped around your neck.
A lot of people, and I know a lot of people think, well, they sit and wait on someone to talk to them. Well, if you're in a room of people who are sitting and waiting on someone to talk to them, and everybody has that same sentiment, no one's going to talk. You got to make that initial step, right? And you got to check on people. It's part of that being lonely. By When you looked at the statistics of it, it says, and it's by quote, right? It says the people who attend religious services regularly often report feeling less lonely than people who only attend intermediately throughout the year or do not attend at all. That's where God talks about that coming together, right? Like we're like coals of a fire. If you spread us out, man, we just die out and you feel very isolated, right? But when you come together, everybody can get warm. You never know when you're going to, you never know everybody's going to feel lonely at some point. You never know when you could be that intervening step. I thought about, Psalms, the 23rd Psalm, verse 4, right? Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I'll fear no evil, for you are with me. God always says he's with us. He's with us. And that is it, really. That's the water, just like at the well, that you don't get thirsty again. We drink a lot of water. We drink a lot of things that are the intellectual equivalent of the magnesium citrate and the emotional equivalent of it, right? But that's not what you're looking for. You're looking for the water. By the way, do you like how I tied all that in?
Dude, you do.
But you don't know. I think about the one valedictorian, and it's out there. I don't know. The guy talks about it. He gets ready to give his speech. He thanks the one kid who, when he was headed home, stopped and helped him pick up his books and became his friend, right? And he says, "What you don't know is I cleaned out my locker that day because I didn't want my parents to have to do it." He was headed home to go kill himself. Suicide is through the roof. We see veterans dying of suicide. 22 a day, I think, is the number, but I bet it's higher than that. And you see it among kids, and they go, I'm just going to give this a shot, right? Well, here's the deal. This loneliness has reached a level where they say it's chronic. They don't have good days. And we've talked about episodic, but when it hits that chronic level of it, they're crying out. You have a God-shaped vacuum, you know?
Segue into like my next set of notes is Jesus is that friend who stays. And a lot of people may not believe that, but once you start walking with him, right? And that's the key because he's always with you. But once you turn and acknowledge and you're walking with him, he's going to give you love, and he's not just looking for to give you just a like or something like that. He's not looking to just give you something shallow, right? He wants to give you some deep down love. It says in Psalms 56:8, as for example, God knows every tear,
Mm,
every hidden pain, and he still calls us below. Like, imagine that. Like, all the pain and suffering that you may be going through as you listen to this or you share this with someone, and someone is lonely or going through a rough time. You have someone that is closer than any brother that you, sibling, whoever, that knows every tear, all that pain. And he's willing to take it and walk with you and help you get through it. Jesus was no stranger to loneliness.
mhm.
Think about when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane. And he is facing what I can't imagine as pressures. He knows the crucifixion and all that there's going to be levied upon him. And he's like, he takes his inner circle, the closest group of guys he has, says, "Hey, just come with me, just pray with me, stay up." And I I don't judge them because
Yeah.
I know how sleepy I get. And I'm like, hey man, I would have probably fell asleep too. And that had to hurt. He's like, in this moment, he had never been, and when he gets to the cross, even more lonely. It's a depth that I can't imagine. He had never been separated from the Father.
Yeah.
And for all of those who don't come to know him, that is going to be really the eternal torment, is being separated from him and finally realizing that all the gifts that he's given us, the sunrise and every breath you took, and being separated from him, Jesus felt that for the first time, the depths of loneliness. And so he doesn't want any of us to go through that. And that is the amazing thing about the gospel. It is the whole point. He does not want you to be separated. He wants to have unity. He wants to bring you back together. So he validates us. He gives us his presence, which is the greatest validation there is. I am here with you as you go through this horrible human experience that it can be at times, right? You
Yeah.
have someone that is closer than your mother or your father in Jesus. He's the friend that's going to stay.
Separation, isolation, that division, that is Satan's number one strategy. right? He tried it with the angels in heaven. That's why he got cast here. He does it with Adam and Eve. And then all of a sudden, everybody's cast out of the garden, does it all throughout. It's always about isolation. It's always about separation. So the feelings that people have, and we all feel lonely at different times, and we can feel like, hey, there's no one there, even if we're in a crowd. But Jesus plainly says, I'm always here. I'll never leave you nor forsake you. I love in Isaiah where he says, do not fear, I'm with you. Do not be dismayed. For I am your God. He's talking to Israel, right? And you look on down in James, draw near to God, he'll draw near to you. Put that forward. As a matter of fact, he's already tried to draw near to you through the crucifixion, right? Through the resurrection. I love Jeremiah. Then you will call on me and come to pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me. And when you seek me with all your heart, that's amazing. God wants a relationship with you. People say they're lonely because they don't have these meaningful relationships. But the Bible, it talks about that right there, right?
Yeah.
It's a lie from Satan that says, you know what? You're unlovable. Nobody cares about you. You're totally different. And all those things insulate you into a form of isolation. And that's not what it's about.
Okay.
Uh,
No.
that's where when you find that meaningful relationship going forward to combat that loneliness is through that relationship with Jesus Christ.
Oh,
Colby,
that's good, Jason. That's really good. Yeah.
I kind of looked up some different things as Christians as we go forward. We got to help others combat this loneliness. I was kind of looking up a few kind of things to go forward with. You got any thoughts on that as well?
Well, I think the cure to loneliness, in my opinion, right, and what I'm gonna always offer up to men is, you know, being alone with God cures your everyday loneliness. As weird as that might sound,
Mm.
right? We see Jesus demonstrate this, and this is why I say to me, this seems like this is the cure or the practical step moving forward, right? It is Jesus will withdraw and he would go back. Jesus knew the source, right, of where he would be validated, who it was. He had been betrayed by close friends, or he would be. He knew this. He was abandoned. He went from being Hosanna, and a few days later, it's like crucified. So he understood the sting of loneliness, but he also knew where his source of who he was and his identity and his purpose and his reason and where his source of love was. That's the Father. That's where you have to start as guys. If you don't have that relationship with Jesus Christ, let me encourage you here and now to make that decision. Why? Because from there, it's amazing how your Father who's in heaven, through his Son and the Holy Spirit, will guide you to everything that you need. Everything you need will flow and stem through that relationship. So the cure, latch up with Jesus because he has everything he needs, right?
Yeah.
Or I should say that you need.
So it's interesting you said that, and so in Philippians 4, 6, and 7, it says, "Yeah, encourage us to not be anxious about anything." Anxiety is a major thing in today's society.
Yeah.
The more people have anxiety than probably we've ever seen, right? But it says,
Mhm.
don't be anxious about anything. But in every situation, prayer, you highlighted it, just like in Jesus's example, prayer and petition, right? And thanksgiving. Present your request to God. I think we forget about Thanksgiving. We started being thankful. That goes back to that gratitude journal we talked about.
Sure.
Once you start going, I'm thankful for, you look at the cup. Everybody's cup's half full. I don't care who you are, whatever. It's how you look at it, right? It's like when people go, well, you either read a text with a smile or a frown, and it'll determine what it says. That's the truth, right? So you either look at
Yeah.
it, and that giving thanksgiving is key. That alone time in prayer, I think that's absolutely phenomenal.
Nah, man. That's key. You have to build that relationship. It's not about being busy. It's not about joining a bunch of different social media groups or clubs or it's being, found and known by him and being anchored in his presence. I love what Psalms 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I'm God." Again, you don't have to perform for God. You don't have to try to impress him.
Yeah.
He already knows all your little secrets and all this stuff, and he still loves you.
Yeah.
And he still wants to walk with you. That should be an amazing thing, because I don't know if we can really say that with all of our friendships and all these kind of things. There's some line that could be crossed that where it would sever that.
Yeah.
With Jesus, he already knows all the red lines, whatever you want to call it, they've already been crossed, and he's still there. Because Romans 8:28 says, while we were still sinners, he died for us. You just have to be still and remind yourself, like Jason said, all the things that has happened in your life.
Mhm.
There's so many things that if you're standing here, you're listening, you're breathing, that is a testament that you have overcome something. And it's been because of the grace of God, and he has put things into your life, as bad as it may seem, right?
Mm.
You know, so yeah, man, like it's him. It's that relationship. It's all about him, and it's amazing how your life can change even if you're alone.
No, that's you highlighted something. Every breath you got, you're listening and you haven't accepted Jesus Christ. It's super simple. It's just, Lord, please forgive me of my sins. I accept you as Lord and Savior of my life. It's pretty simple. The guy, the thief on the cross, had to elevate himself up to get enough oxygen so that he could save the breath he had. And by the way, he was elevating himself through spikes in his teeth. So, and he got the first golden ticket, as we like to say, right?
Yes, he did.
Eh, Loneliness, again, it goes back to that trick that says you're unlovable. Nobody wants anything to do with you. Your sin is so unique. Really? Listen, is nothing new under the sun. Is nothing new under the sun.
No.
And it says just like that he died while you were yet sinners, while you were an enemy of God. He says, you know what? Let's look past this. As a matter of fact, he looked down to the people who nailed him and says, God forgive them. They just really don't know what they've done. And it was grace extended to them. He extends it to us all. And that is that key to the loneliness. We really do. Everybody has it. And I think that it's when those times come, you have to draw closer to him. And when you see your buddy out there drowning, you got to reach and get him too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I think you summed up this episode well, Jason, and I think it's a powerful one for guys that, you know, no matter what you're facing today, I want to encourage you. If you haven't taken the opportunity to know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, today is the day. There's no tomorrow. There's no waiting until you get cleaned up, or, I get my finances together, or whatever you think you need to do, you don't. Because that is the first step to everything that you've been looking for, is knowing the source of all things, the creator of heaven and earth, life itself, truth itself, in knowing Jesus Christ. So I'm glad we teed up this episode, Jason, for everyone. And yeah, so another great episode of the Jonathan Project podcast, folks. Again, this is what we do week in, week out, faithfully just trying to share a heart and bring you in a new, different kind of way the same great message and the gospel, that is Jesus Christ can save you and change your life. So if you found inspiration, hope, the meaning, and you would like us to share this message in person at an event that you have coming up, please reach out to us. Or you want prayer or resources on how to have a relationship with Jesus, please reach out to us at the Jonathan Project Podcast at gmail.com. Again, the Jonathan Project Podcast at gmail.com. This episode and every episode that we have comes out every Tuesday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern, or wherever you're at when 6 a.m. Eastern happens. You can also find a free devotional. It will be in the episode summary links. Again, great devotion will help you build that relationship with Jesus Christ if you already have it. 28 days, 2 minutes a day. You can't beat it because it is free. So again, thanks for all that you're doing for us there, Jason, and just the encouragement that you give me and here. And I look forward to talking to you again soon.
all right, brother. Talk to you soon. See ya.